Dean Ryan. I'm a long-standing member of Hackney Stand Up to Racism. I'm also a shop steward in Unison, and I'm going to be chairing tonight's meeting. And the first thing I really want to start off by saying is really say thank you to the people at Ramadan Mosque for holding the meeting tonight. I think it's important to realise that, you know, only a few in the weeks and days that followed the terrorist attack at Finsbury Park Mosque, this mosque was one of 3 mosques to receive threatening letters. And rather than being told or being carried down by that, actually we can see from tonight that this mosque has continued to play an active role in the community and have continued to support the anti-racist struggle. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to the people at the mosque. And also, one of the things I'd like to do is remember while we're here tonight, actually we're here tonight, I'm a father, you know, I've got a soon-to-be 18-year-old son, and when I woke up on a Sunday morning and saw that Bashan Charles had been murdered by the police, actually my heart sank. And I think I'd just like to start off the meeting by asking people to stand, if you can, and have a minute silent for Bashan. Okay, thank you. Tonight, the meeting's going to work. We've got a panel of speakers who are going to talk about different subjects and really, you know, we're going to have a panel here. They're going to talk for different times. If we've got time, we will have some contributions from the floor. One of the things I would like to say is that obviously we're in a place of worship today, and as I said before, it's really grateful for Ramadan Mosque for holding this meeting. So, even though tonight it's going to be, you know, I'm sure we're going to get emotional because when we hear some of this stuff tonight, I'd like just to remind people to conduct themselves in a respectful and orderly fashion and actually remember that we are in a place of worship. The first thing I'd like to do, and the first person I'd like to bring to speak today is, here he is. Egg, do you want to come and say a few more, just a few words on behalf of the mosque? Thank you.
Hello everyone. Thank you for coming. Subject matter is very serious, as we all know. I've got so many mixed feelings about what's taking place in the time and space that we're living in, so I'll make it short. I don't know if Issa's got missing at the moment. He's struggling. He looks like he's alright, but he's not. So, where do we start? We've got Islamophobia, we've got problems there. We've got deaths in custody, no one accountable. Police not suspending coppers, in their statement basically is that they're quite clearly stating that it's alright to kill black kids, it's not a problem. We're not going to do nothing about it. I can't stand with that. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Let's just see how the talk goes. And I'm really honoured to be a part of this, and I'm really in a unique place to be able to use this platform to take advantage of getting this message across. I'm going to leave it at that at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Ed. And again, I'd like to thank Ed. I think Ed's been quite modest. So over the last 18 months or so, this mosque has played a really key role in helping us fight anti-racism, support Black Lives Matter, and I think it's really important that we say thank you, and we're really, really, really grateful. Tonight we've got a few speakers. As Egg said, Isa, the father of Rashan, is due to speak tonight. It's obviously very raw and very emotional still. Hopefully he might say a few words, but if he doesn't say a few words tonight, we'll respect his wishes, and he's a grieving father, and as I said, as a father myself, I understand the emotions he must be going through. What I'd like to do next is being someone who shouldn't need any introduction, but I will introduce him nonetheless. To my right, not politically. Oh, Isa's coming. Okay.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. Okay, thanks, brothers and sisters. I'd just like to introduce Isa, the father of Rashan Charles, who's going to say a few words, and I'm sure we can show him our respect and solidarity.
Well, good evening. Let's say obviously at a very big loss in my life, and don't really seem as if justice, I was actually looking for results in regards to seeking justice. I have not, as of yet, got the great results that I've actually needed, and I'm still at loss. No father ever wants to bury his own child. So this is very, very hard for me at the moment. I cannot sleep at night. And I've heard as if the gentleman who's obviously done this is probably walking free and actually got his job. Within regards to him, my goodness, I really don't know as to what to say about that. However, I'm at a loss. My son also has siblings also, and I'm not the only one. Obviously, his mother is going through so much at the moment, and this is a very hard time at the moment, and I'm really not happy with the results that has actually been happening at the moment. But I do thank you for obviously coming here. I do appreciate the time and the effort that you've actually put in for this particular vote. And I'm still at a loss. It's very hard to be there.
Thank you, Isa. Obviously, it's very touching and very emotional, and as I say, I've been here, I've lived in Hackney, I'm 51 now, I've lived in Hackney all my life, and sad to say, Rashan is not the only young man who's died at the hands of the police, and it's really, really sad, and I think we owe it to Rashan, and we owe it to every victim to fight for justice and to make sure that we keep campaigning in whatever way Isa can help. Isa wants, and we can support the family. Now, just moving on, as I said before, I just want to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is someone who I think we need to remember was someone who was imprisoned, unlawfully imprisoned in Guantanamo Bay for 14 years, was tortured.
3 years?
3? Oh, Scott. Anytime. Make sure I'm not the judge at the jury. Someone who was in prison for 3 years, and someone who endured torture, and someone who the British media is still treating as if he's a terrorism suspect. He's also the director of Cage, who campaigns against Islamophobia, and I'll let him tell you more about what he's doing himself. So just if we could all give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful. No father should have to bury his son, especially not at the hands of those who are supposed to protect society. I was held in Guantanamo between 2002 and 2005 by the Americans at what's regarded as one of the world's most notorious prisons, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. There are far worse prisons in the world. But I was held there with the complicity of my own government. The British government was fully involved, fully complicit in having me sent there, having me falsely imprisoned, having me tortured, and eventually, as Malcolm X says, when they returned me, somebody kind of suggested that I should be thankful to the British government. And as Malcolm X says, you don't take a knife and put it in a man's back 9 inches deep, pull it back 5 inches and say we make progress. And so I don't thank them for bringing me back to the UK. I hold them to account for what they did. And part of that accountability was to do with my children. My children were young when I was first taken into custody. When I came back, they were much older, but they included a son that I'd never seen, a son who didn't know what it was like to have a father. And although there was a slight mistake of between 3 years and 14 years, my best friend is a man called Shakir Ahmed, and he was held in Guantanamo for 14 years without charge or trial, and he is from this city, and his sons and his daughter are born and raised in this city, and he was tortured, beaten, abused, his red head repeatedly smashed against the wall, in the presence of, with the complicity of, British intelligence agents, who are all part of the apparatus of government that are supposed to protect us, British citizens, whether we're here or whether we're abroad, whether we're on the streets or in shops, or whether we're being held in detention sites by the closest allies of this country. It doesn't matter. Our rights should have been protected, but they weren't. They were violated. Violated to the point at which I witnessed with my own 2 eyes 2 people being kicked and beaten to death by American soldiers in a place where the British intelligence services regularly appeared and interrogated us. This was just the scratching of the surface of what was happening several years ago in the name of the